Hello everyone, Hills here. We got some information on our 4th anniversary. Part of it is the Next Era Equipment Exchange Quest. They're bringing back a lot of limited equipment. Looks like we get 10 days of quests. Each day we get one ticket, so we're going to be able to choose 10 different items. So a couple of the high important stuff. The main thing, the K-Producer's jacket. If you missed out on this, I highly recommend you pick it up. 20% draw tax on a clothing item. Very useful. It's something I still use when making random characters, passive draw attacks, and full evasion and everything like that. It's incredibly handy and probably the single thing I recommend the most. As far as a second most important thing, I have to scroll down a little bit for it. The wrapped gift. This here also has 20% draw tax on it, and very handy if you don't have one. If you don't have the Moogle Charm, having 2 of these is also good. They do stack for the draw attacks. But if you do have the Moogle Charm, only need 1 of them. And if you already have Moogle Charm in 1 or 2 of these, you can pass it up. Now aside from those 2, the next thing to take a look at is some of the evasion gear. And one of the main things is, because it's all 5% evasion, so it's the jet black eye patch and the gladiator shield. They both have crisis evasion, so they won't stack. And if you're using a dagger that also has crisis evasion, it won't stack. There has to be named something different. But there is also the Dragon's Destiny, which is a rod with 5%, and that has a special name on its dodge, so that stacks with everything else. So you can see on the jet black eye patch there, it says crisis evasion. It's only 5%, but it won't stack with any other crisis evasion. But those 3 items, all 5% dodge gear. If you're needing some dodge gear, depending on what you already have, those 3 items are something to look at. Another item, if I can find it in this massive list, which is a little niche. It's not something that gets used all the time. The concealing cloth. Now this gives camouflage and hide. As far as using this, it's used more for the hide. You can give hide to any unit, which is very handy for doing alternate strats of a lot of things. Having 1 is good, and even this is an item that having 2 of could be helpful depending on what kind of shenanigans you want to get into. The camouflage, not as useful as it used to be, but a unique item to think about. And then past that we have some elemental weapons. So there's the Asterix 2-handed lightning element greatsword. Pretty handy. It has high attack. If you don't have a 2-handed greatsword that has some lightning element on it already, something to look at. Another thing to think about is the Wolf Claws, which is a 2-handed fist that is dark element. It also has 50% undead killer. And then the other weapon with elements on it would be the hybrid sword Luminaire. And the main draw of that is it allows you to use 4 different elemental hybrid attacks. So whoever you equip this to gets to do fire, thunder, water, or wind damage. And those are all hybrid. So those are rather helpful at certain times. Just something to think about there. And then aside from those, the next thing to keep in mind would be the resist gear. Now there is a lot of it, so it would depend on what you need overall, but like Ignacio's helm has some fire resist, all the set gear has resist on it, the heavy Drake armor has 10 to everything. But those would be my main recommendations, kind of in that order, to consider when picking out your 10 items, because there is quite a lot here, and some of it's rather nice, but a lot of it isn't really useful anymore. But the main things definitely to think about the K-Producer's jacket and the wrap present, the draw attacks for making passive provoke builds. Incredibly useful. I just wanted to point out those things, so we're going to end the video there. And hopefully the information was useful to you. And hopefully everybody enjoyed.